If this is the world that you show us, then I think China should go and remove the American president when he's also being anti-democratic.
So the United States thought it was a good idea to invade Venezuela and take the president of Venezuela and his wife and bring them to another place. That triggered a lot of protest. And I was at one of those protests right here in the Netherlands, and I was speaking with a lot of people, and here are their voices. But first, I also want to thank the people that bought me a coffee, so I could literally buy a coffee to keep me warm because it was snowing. So thank you very much, and don't forget to like, enjoy the video. What do you think of what do you think that the United States has done?
I think it's terrible. Look, I'm just a South American concerned living in Europe, and I don't want the Americans, I don't want the Europeans to take care of what we do in our own countries. Maduro may not have been the best leader, he may not have been directly democratic, but that's none of the American business. If that is the case, if this is the world that you show us, then I think China should go and remove the American president when he's also being anti-democratic. That's the only message I see from the world leaders becoming flatantly, violating so flatantly the international law that we have set. Yeah.
What do you think of the reaction of Europe and our leaders in Europe?
I think the reaction of Europe is absolutely hysterical. I think it is hilarious. Just the other week, the Danish Prime Minister came out and said that you cannot just take countries through force, trying to defend Greenland from the Americans. And now look at them, all going out and supporting America taking over a country by force.
What do you think is the difference? Stay there. What do you think is the difference between Greenland, Ukraine, and Venezuela?
The only difference between Greenland, Ukraine, Venezuela, and Palestine, to be honest, is the color of their skin. I have long said that there's two systems in this world. There's one set of international laws for those who are white or considered white by the Europeans, and there's another set of international laws for those who are not white. And as we have seen now, that is precisely what is unfolding. Whenever a country like Ukraine, who is white, is attacked by another country, everyone gets up and says that this is against international law. They threaten to arrest the leader. When an American does it in Venezuela, the Europeans support them. When the Israelis do it in Palestine, the Europeans support them.
What do you think that we should do in Europe?
What I think we should do in Europe is organize. We need to have a lot more power given back to the people. Our worker unions are too weak. Before, we would have taken action in the 70s and the 80s. The worker unions would have been here today taking action. We need to find a way to unionize in this new work environment where everyone is so divided and individualist. We need to find solidarity for each other and elect new leaders that can create a new system. And if the elections don't work, we have to block everything. We have to strike until we stop this violent system. Eventually, the boomerang will come back to Europe. Yeah. All of these oppressive systems will come back to hurt you. Now, D66 is going to cut funding for a lot of the social programs we have here in the Netherlands in order to pay for the military machine that we're seeing active in Venezuela.
Before we go any further, please smash that like button, share and subscribe. Thank you. What is your opinion about what the United States did?
It's a disgrace and it's a shame. They do this because they want to show the world what happens if you don't listen to the United States. It's unbelievable that they just with a switch of a button they took out of the lights in Venezuela. They took away the president, and it shouldn't be possible because it's a sovereign country. There's international law, but also above that, there's something which is what you have to call justice, and there is no justice in this way. So it's a disgrace, and I think that if we don't distance ourselves from the United States, we officially show the world that we're part of the bad team.
What do you think of the reaction of the European leaders?
I'm ashamed of the European leaders, basically because they don't even think about criticizing it. I know that Macron even he told that Venezuela is somehow freed. I don't know if you can be freed by a foreign power. And also Ursula von der Leyen is just the same. She tells us that we have to remain calm and we don't have to exaggerate. While there is a flagrant misbehavior of one of our allies. So I'm not very happy with the reaction of the European leaders.
One last question. Do you have any knowledge about Venezuela?
I have a lot of knowledge about Venezuela, yes.
Trump said that his oil is in Venezuela.
Yes.
How did his oil end up in the Venezuelan ground?
Well, I've studied geography, so if you have to ask someone, you should ask me. But he only can tell these things because he's a liar, he's a dictator, and what he means is that everything owns to the capitalists, everything owns to the United States and to the world leader, to the great power, and that's what he's talking about, and it must end now.
And what do you think that we actually should do as people?
We as a people.
We as a people, because
Yes.
it's obvious that
Okay.
not everybody agrees with us.
Okay. We as a people, first of all, as a leftist, as a socialist, we have to unite so we can form a broad front. And our goals on a longer term should be that we have to distance ourselves from the United States and from the Western imperialist bloc.
Okay, thank you. And I see you have a mic. Where are you from?
Oh,
You want to give your information where they can
yes.
find you? Because I see-
I'm from the Socialist Party of Amsterdam. I'm the current leader of the Socialist Party of Amsterdam, and I'm here because I want to show my support also with the other parties, because we have to do a lot and we have to do it together.
All right, thank you. What do you think that America has done? Sorry, my fault.
Okay, so what I think of what Americans, the Yankees have done. When I was a child, I remember I was on my parents' shoulders demonstrating against the Iraq war. And now I'm 31 years old, I'm demonstrating against the war in Venezuela. And who are the culprits again? It's the Americans, it's the Yankees, it's their imperialism, their endless greed for new markets, for resources and political control all over the world. People have to understand this now. The United States of America is the #1 enemy of democracy and freedom on this earth. They do not only lie, sometimes they even give up. Trump admitted it's about oil. He didn't even care about this stupid lie about drugs. The CIA is the biggest drug cartel in the world. The United States of America is the biggest terrorist organization in the world. I stand with the people of Venezuela. Their government was resisting imperialism. I might not really agree with them politically, but they are fighting against the biggest terrorist organization in the world. And yes, they want Maduro back as their president, and I want him back there too. And if Maduro is going to be disposed, it's up to the Venezuelan people, not up to me, not up to anybody else outside of Venezuela, especially not the Yankees. It's none of their business. They are the terrorists. They enable dictatorships all over the world. They only care about democracy when it's a country that doesn't give them resources they want. When it's a country that's not a puppet of them. Thank you.
And what do you think of what the Western government said about it? Their response?
So the response is some Western governments have said, yeah, it's illegal, or that's not the way to do it. It's cowardice. They see a big terrorist attack on a sovereign nation and they don't have the guts to do anything against the Yankees. They make cowardly statements. Oh, there's not the will to deal with it. Oh, no, Maduro is this. Shut up. Do you cut ties with Americans? No, of course you can't, because you're ruled by them. Do you put sanctions on Americans? You can put sanctions on poor countries in the global south. You can put sanctions on Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Venezuela, Korea. But you can't put sanctions on Americans, of course. The Americans are bullying the whole world into submission, and the Western governments are part of it. All their statements saying that this illegal is false. They support this. They just don't have the guts to say it out loud, and they don't have the guts at all to do anything meaningful against the Yankees.
And one last question. Trump said that his oil is in Venezuela. How did his oil get in Venezuela? Do you know? Because I'm trying to find out.
Maybe his brain is left in Venezuela. Maybe his decency, his dignity is left in Venezuela. Of course, I'm joking. He doesn't have any of that. No, the oil of Venezuela belongs to the people and the land of Venezuela. None of their business. Just because in the past they had collaborators, traitors of the Venezuelan people, the rich bourgeoisie there, selling out their oil of their people to the United States. Doesn't mean the Venezuelan people owe anything in their country to the Yankees. It's not their own. It's rightfully theirs. and they have the right to trade with it. And with the sanctions and the blockade, they're preventing that. So yes, there is a lot of economical problems in Venezuela. Get rid of the sanctions and the blockade, and we'll see what happens with the economy. Just leave countries alone for once and see if they prosper or not. They don't give any chance to other countries to prosper because they know they will lose their economic grip, because their own economy is dependent on exploitation and oppression and the blood of people all around the world.
Thank you. All right, so that was the opinion of a couple of people in English. There's also some people in Dutch. I will do that in a separate video. But now I also would like to talk a little bit about this. This looks very much like criminal behavior. This does not look to me like a legal arrest. It surely looks like kidnapping. Boldly kidnapping. Nothing less and nothing more. This shows to me that it is an empire which is crumbling and is hitting around just to save, while knowing it cannot be saved until it changes its own system. The system that we in the West have, together with the United States, is a self-destructing system. And that is the system what we are seeing now today. However, our politicians, they are very keen on pointing the fingers at others, but nobody is responsible for our own mistakes. People are often pointing their fingers at what they call foreigners or refugees or migrants, but forget that we are the ones who have created them. We are the reason why there are refugees. That is always through economic coercion, like sanctions, economic embargoes, cutting them off from the world, through wars, proxy wars, and sponsoring terrorism. A good example of that is Syria. One day this man had a 10 million bounty on his head because he is a terrorist, a leader of Al-Qaeda, and the other day our governments are praising him as a moderate rebel right after he committed his biggest attack in his history. It is time for the people in the West to think for themselves and to really think, does this add up of what we really pretend to be? Are we really democratic? And if we are, how come we continuously overthrow other legitimate governments? Why are we constant engaging in unprovoked wars of aggression? Why are we trying to pull other nations into wars? While we are saying that we are for human rights, at the same time we are sending weapons to one of the biggest human rights offenders right now at this moment, of which country I obviously cannot say the name because of the algorithm. They say that we have free speech. We have freedom of speech. They also say that Chinese in China need to have freedom of speech, while at the same time they are prosecuting me over an informative political video. They say that political persecution isn't right, while at the same time Mr. Fong is being prosecuted over a political informative video by its own government. Try to make that make sense. It is time for the people to start to think. Is it really all those foreigners, migrants, and refugees to blame? Do you think that if they were not here, things would be different? It would be totally different in the world. Because then we might not have taken their homes away from them. Then we might not have taken their families away from them. Then we might not have destroyed their country, their culture, and everything that they loved, and forced them to go from their country, which they love, together with their people, which they love, together with their families, which they love, and their friends, which they love, and their homes, which they love, to come all the way over here, to be scolded and be punished by the people who destroyed everything from them. That is something to think about. And now a lot of people are saying, but Mr. Fong, I don't see it. Well, then the question you should raise: is this the system that I really support? Where does all that money go? With all the inflation, there's way more than tax money than ever before. Where does it go? Why do all these countries that have these similar problems engage in wars, spending your money on wars and attacks on sovereign nations like they just did with Venezuela? How come that the Americans need to pay for oil while their government is stealing it? But the government doesn't own a refinery. They don't own anything with oil. So who is that oil going to? These are the questions that people need to start to be raising. Where is it all going to? While at the same time, everything which would improve our lives is going to be cut down. Like in the Netherlands, they cut on healthcare, they cut on school, they cut on the elderly that work their entire life and pay taxes their entire life, hoping that the tax money would be used to improve the life of the rest of the citizens. But somehow, all these people in the West fail to wake up. It is easy to point a finger at other people, but it will not solve your problems. And I will leave it at that, and I hope this was a couple of words of wisdom, and I hope people will start to think. For one time, please start to think. This was your favorite half Chinese. Please like the video. I also have a buy me a coffee so I can do more of this, because sometimes on the way I need to stay awake. But there is one thing. You are only allowed to donate to me to support my work if you have more than enough money. If you do not, then please keep your money for yourself and use it for things that you really need. Thank you. Your favorite half Chinese. Have a great day.